Hello, 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 and welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach live Q&A. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donny Coram, broadcasting live from our downtown studios. How y'all doing? It's great to see you guys out there in Facebook land, YouTube land, and etc. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every single week to the Foreclosure Deals Coach live Q&A. This week, I wanted to obviously leave it open for questions. So if you're here and you're watching, please just cop in those comments real quick. Ask your questions. Let me know how we can help you to get started in foreclosure investing. I wanted to tackle some items right now that are really affecting the marketplace on inspection items now. So first, I want to start with a story. So I've got a client, Steve. He's doing a deal while deployed at another location. And we got the deal right after he was deployed out there, went under contract, got the property all fixed up. It looks great, by the way. Kudos to Steve and the construction crew that got it done very quickly, and it looks wonderful. Then we went under contract after roughly 12 days on the market. So that was pretty awesome too. And then the buyer who we were expecting did an inspection on the property. Now, this is where the story gets a little bit interesting. The inspection came back with some stuff related to needing a roof and having some structural lines in the property and some issues that just don't really feel like they are there. And I can tell you this, because the interest rates are higher and buyers are being a little bit more picky, the net result of that is we're definitely going to see a lot more requests in the inspection area. How do we handle this as real estate investors? Well, starting with how we used to handle it. When the market was red hot and we were dealing with overbidding on every single property, when you came in with an inspection item, it was kind of laughed at. You know, most of the properties we were selling were considered to be as is, where is, right? So when we got inspection items in say 21 or 22, we would sort of laugh it off like, yeah, right, we'll just take the next buyer, right? Well, now that things are a little bit slower, we're definitely looking at inspection items from a different angle for two reasons. Number one, you want to keep deals together in this local market. The buyer population is not as hot as it used to be, right? We're definitely seeing longer days on market on the properties. So we're not selling in 3 hours like we used to. So that's reason one, we want to keep deals together, because it's just economic sense to try to keep deals together whenever you can. But the second thing that needs to be factored in here is that we always, even back in the super hot buyer era, we really want to provide the right value to our clients. Now, guys, the goal obviously with flipping houses, you're looking to do your first foreclosure deal. We are obviously looking to make money doing the deal, but there is something to be said for providing a good product and a good service to the people buying the house. And that has always been the lead-in. I always taken the belief system that if you can offer a good product to your end buyer, you will never have trouble getting buyers. Okay, so it's never been a lack of desire to fix anything that the buyer wants fixed, but rather what makes economic sense. Okay, there's not a ton of economic sense coming in when the property doesn't have any structural problems. You know, you don't need to really actually worry about those issues. They're just fishing. And what really was a sign on this particular deal that I found interesting is they said, okay, it's got this problem. We're also mentioning a roof problem that I don't believe is there and some other things. We want you to fix them at your expense, or we'll take a $40,000 discount on the property. Stop on that for a minute, okay? They were willing to take a house they believed had a structural issue that, by the way, it does not have a structural issue, okay? But they were willing to take on a property with a structural issue in exchange for a discount. Is that not a sign that there's not actually a structural issue, right? That's my belief system, that they're just trying to leverage the motivation in the market right now to get a lower price on the property. And I get it. Listen, if you're trying to do the best negotiation, you're the buyer's agent in this deal, and you're trying to negotiate the best deal possible for your buyer, that makes sense to some degree. But if there's no actual issue with the property, right? You're just leveraging it to get a lower price point. It's a little bit disingenuous. Now, this is a negotiating tactic. The fact that they ask for a discount on a problem that's not actually there is just part of the process that we're going to be dealing with buyers right now. We are definitely seeing a higher propensity of deals that are falling apart after they go under contract than we've seen in the past. Why? Because the buyers are skittish and they believe that the sellers are more motivated. What's interesting about the market today is it's not officially a buyer's market, right? There's definitely some signs of interest rates higher that buyers have a significantly more power than they had in the past. But based on current inventory, it's not a buyer's market just yet. And it certainly is not a seller's market either. So if we're kind of in that in-between market, who should have the upper end advantage on negotiations? Well, the answer is it's a case-by-case, deal-by-deal basis. Who's more motivated to get the deal done at this juncture is going to determine whether or not who's got the upper hand of the negotiation, right? So my advice is to keep your cool. Right away, I told my seller on this deal, I'm just going to close this because I'm sorry, I should have left this open. Apologies to anybody's watching here. My advice right out of the gate was kill the deal. We sold the property in 12 days the first time. So it stands to reason we'll find a common sense buyer on the next rodeo because we're not going to introduce repairs that don't need to be done or are not actually in existence, okay? We're not going to create problems where there aren't any. But that's challenging, right? If you're an investor who's got a hard money loan, which in this case we do, racking up interest by the day, as all loans are, right? But in this case, a lot more interest. You really want to get the deal done, right? So the motivation is definitely on the side of the seller, but is it enough to take $40,000 off or basically the entire profit margin of the deal? And the answer is absolutely not. First of all, the problems are fabricated. Okay. And you need to know more about the story to really dig deep here. But the point is when you're dealing in the coaching space, when you join up as a coaching student, we're going to encounter all sorts of issues along this rodeo, along this area. And the problem with being a brand new investor doing your first deal, as Steve is in this case, he's doing his first flip, is it's very easy to get emotionally charged about this. Oh my gosh, this has a problem and yada, yada. Well, we walked that property before we bought it. Obviously, Steve has never seen it because he's been deployed since we purchased it. But I walked to the property and my contractors walked to the property, and there's absolutely no sign that there's a structural or any sort of foundation issue on the property. So what this is a buyer fishing for a heavy discount on the property. This is not uncommon. We do the very same thing in reverse. We're trying to acquire a property. So I get it at a lot of degree, but the investor in this case has the upper hand. You got a nice house in a nice neighborhood priced well below the median price of $500,000 of houses in the city of Colorado Springs. So I really feel like we have the upper hand. If there was actually a problem with the property, this could be a disadvantage, but you have to be able to look at the deal on the surface and know that people are going to attempt to, for lack of better terms, screw you a little bit in the sense that they think that you're super motivated, as they believe that most sellers are right now because the market has slowed down. Then they're going to ask for stuff that's not legit in an attempt to get a discount on the property. Nobody's actually going to buy a home that they believe has a structural issue. They're not going to ask for a discount on it. They're just not going to buy it. I mean, they're going to walk away if they're a normal buyer. There's not buyers out there going, oh yeah, I'll buy this house with a structural problem and I'll just fix it. This came up because the issue is non-existent. They're just trying to fish for a significant $40,000 discount off of retail, which we're just not going to tolerate, okay? So the takeaway, my foreclosure fans, is you got to keep your cool. You have to understand that this is a negotiation process. One interesting statistic that I like to share with my potential coaching students is that 80%, I read that roughly 80% of people who do their first real estate flip deal lose money on it. Now, I don't know where that statistic came from, and I can't speak to the validity of it, but I believe it a lot because there's a lot of emotion that goes into buying a deal. And when you're emotional about any business transaction, there's a higher probability you're going to do something wrong. Right? So out of the gate, we know that a lot of people are going into deals, they're acquiring them wrong. They're not doing the proper research because they're so excited about doing their first deal that they're throwing caution into the wind and they're just buying whatever comes along. okay? Obviously in coaching, that's gonna be one of my core benefits to working with me is I'm gonna make sure that doesn't describe you, that you don't end up in a situation where you're buying a bad deal, because that's obviously not good for my coaching students to not get results, okay? Once we acquire the property properly, the next place people go wrong is they didn't do the right analysis of the property to know that they're buying the right deal. How do you do proper deal analysis? Well, we talk about on the show all the time the Privy application, and Privy gives you comps on the property so you can see not only what the property should sell for, but what condition it should be in at the time of sale. So you can be able to generalize what the property needs to look like and how much your rehab budget needs to be to get that done. Okay, this is consulting, guys, at its finest. There are consultants for everything. There are CPAs out there. They're basically consultants. There are financial consultants, right? There are business consultants. I talk to people all the time in the networking space who are going to help you to grow a business. I'm a consultant in the space of helping you do your first deal. So we're definitely going to look at the property before you buy it. And in this case, Steve wasn't able to look at it because he wasn't physically in town, but I looked at the property, verified it's a deal I would have done myself. Okay, and I verified what the level of condition it needed to be in to get the property sold. Next up is funding the deal. Now, funding is one of those critical elements that stops most people, because unless you've got $300,000, $400,000 laying around in a bank account, which very few people do, it's very difficult to get a deal done, right? Well, wrong. I'm also owner in Traction Capital, which is a lending brokerage that specializes in real estate investors who are doing their first deal. Okay, so we know exactly the pitfalls we're going to face there. And I'm not going to kid you, the financing when you're doing your first deal is definitely higher than it's going to be on subsequent deals, but it shouldn't be so high that it stops the deal from being profitable. Whereas if you were going out right now and doing your first deal, you would probably need 20 to 25% down. With my consulting, we're going to be able to get that down payment to 10 to 15% down pretty consistently. And in certain cases, we've got lenders that will fund 100% of the deal for the right buyer and the right deal. So we can handle the lending angle of this very well, because I've done this so many times. Next up is the fixing. How do we fix the property to market? We don't want to over improve the house. We don't want to under improve the house. How do we make sure we're walking down that exact line that you fix it exactly where it needs to be? Well, this is where my years of experience, over 300 flips, really comes into play. I know what the house needs to look like to sell it, and I can help to make sure that you don't over improve it and or under improve the property. All of these things are leading into the flip, which is the stage that we're on the property we're talking about right now. When it's time to go to sale, do we have the right market for the property? Can we price the property accurately to get it sold? And are we doing the right thing by the consumer, all melded into one thing? It's a lot of moving parts, so it's very complicated. So the analogy that I use all the time is if you were getting your pilot's license, you wouldn't just set out to do that kind of thing on your own. You would bring in a flight instructor, a consultant to help you to learn how to fly a plane, right? Well, same applies here. You're out there watching right now, I hope, and looking to do your first deal. Do you really want to take on your first deal on your own? Does it even make sense to take on your first deal on your own? Or should you bring in somebody who's got over 300 flips done, 47 in 1 year, 40 the year before that, and was tracking to 60 in 2022 before the market corrected? I think the obvious choice here is to bring in a consultant, and I'd like to be your coach. Now, one thing I want to point out is there's a big difference between mentorship and coaching. Okay. In mentorship, you're just getting the ideas, the concepts down. In coaching, I'm walking you through the process, hand-holding you throughout the process, and making sure that you're going to get results in this process. We're not using the theory that it's a good idea to flip a house, but rather the knowledge and education you need to actually do it. And I'm going to handhold you through doing the actual first deal where you're going to make a minimum profit of $25,000. And certainly we're aiming for way more than that. But we also don't want to get you into a deal that's going to be super profitable, but also super risky because you don't have the experience to get it done. Okay, with my experience, there's not a lot of deals I can't get done, but I really want to teach the ease in the first couple of transactions, because if you can do the easy deals with consistency, it becomes much easier to graduate to the more upper end deals that pay better. Okay, but the point is we're not going to bite off more than we can chew in the early stages of your investing career. Okay, this is what I offer as a coach. So I'm telling this story to you guys, and I hope you're watching this now or later in the replay, and you understand that my objective here is for you to understand that I can keep you out of harm's way by giving you all the tools that you need to be a successful real estate investor and get your first deals done. All right. So, we do these lives every single week. So people will hop on and ask questions. I want to open up a little bit for questions. If you're out there right now, please let me know that you're watching live. I really appreciate it. And what, if any, questions that you have that I can answer for you in your pursuit of doing your first deal. If you're just ready to go, I encourage you to hop on over to foreclosuredealscoach.com and schedule a free coaching assessment call where we'll evaluate your individual situation financially, personally, mentally, and all of that, and verify that now is a good time for you to hop into the market. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are more opportunities coming in the marketplace right now than ever, and the time to do this is absolutely positively right now. One of the things that I'm doing for my coaching students here in my local market at Colorado Springs, Colorado, is we're going to be launching TV ads where we're going to be locating deals specifically for my clients. Okay, so I'm not just a concept here, but rather the full deliverable package, taking you from zero, wherever you happen to be in the investment process, to accurately doing your first deal in this marketplace. Okay, the time is now, the market is here, and I am definitely your guy. Lots of opportunities coming on board there. I have the funding, I have the construction crews, I've got access to the deals, and I got the ability to get the property sold at a significant discount from trying to sell this on your own. For all of these reasons, I am definitely the best choice in helping you to do your first deal. With that, we're getting close to the end of the show here. My rant is winding down, so I'm going to open it up for just a minute to offer any questions that are out there. Would love to hear what's stopping you from getting started. Hopefully we can break through it right here on this live Q&A and help you to realize that generally the only thing preventing you from getting going is your own mindset blocks, right? Most of what I'm going over with my clients is just how they thought about real estate investing prior to signing up for coaching. I know that was the case for me when I was getting started. So once I brought on a coach, my coach, Mike Jake, helped me to break through those limiting beliefs, start to do deals consistently. And now I sit before you, 300 plus deals in my history, and the ability to teach confidently on how to help you break through your mental blocks, whatever beliefs that are stopping you from doing your first deal. So we've got a couple of viewers left here still. So we're just going to open it up here. What questions do you have, remaining viewers, on how to get started in real estate investing? How can I help you to do your first deal? Let's open it up for questions real quick on that. If you're out there, please go ahead and send a comment. Just drop a comment in the box here. Let me know you're here. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys that keep showing up. I hope that I can continue to be a resource to people who are showing up here, give you some free information. But really what I would love is for you to take some action. So if you're wondering how to get started, how to take some action, comment in the box below. Why haven't you done your first deal? And what can I do to help you to get that first deal done? We got about a minute or so left in the show, and then we're gonna conclude for the day. Anybody out there who wants to ask a question? All right, that's fine. Listen, guys, the market is shifting. I hope that you're enjoying the content that we're providing. I really appreciate the feedback. Quick shout out to Altitude Productions, Chris Lawler, who's helping me to produce the show, and just as a wealth of knowledge in the content creation space. If you've got another business outside of your real estate investment business that you're looking to launch or get going, I highly recommend Altitude Productions for that. But to kind of wrap things up today, we're heading into the second quarter. This is our last show before we launch second quarter. The second quarter is an excellent quarter to do deals. Lower days on market, the weather is nicer, more buyers will naturally be in the market. Don't let the interest rates and stuff that's going on deter you from getting your first deal done. You can make a solid living. A great strategy is flipping properties, and I can help you to do that through my Foreclosure Deals coaching product. Last opportunity here. We're going to open it up one last time for those who want to ask questions on the show. With that, then, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free to comment, DM me in the Facebook group. I'm happy to answer any questions I can to get you started in this opportunity to start doing deals. With that, this is Donny Coram, your foreclosure deals coach, thanking you for tuning in and reminding you yet again, don't buy a house, buy a deal.